walk out on that field today, ask yourself this question. What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We made it! We made it! We made it! We made it! And let's go to the house! And let's go to the house! When I step on the field, I send one message. And this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. That's it. It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's hunt now. Let's hunt now. Let's go. Let's hunt. We made it. And let's go to the house. And let's go to the house. We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, how like we the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up your chin strap. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from them. He's a man. They can be hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's war out there. When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. Oh, my bad. Your bad don't work in my world. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We made it. And let's go to the house. And let's go to the house. It's a wrap. Game over.
Good afternoon. We're just getting started to another edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover on the lunch break here on Throwback Thursday on the lunch break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and of course, the BS3 Network on Roku. I am co-host Curtis Gardner, KG, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. Joining me right now, you see him on the screen, Andy Yanez from Gallery Sports, Paul Slamma Jamma, Let's Rage Cook, etc. How are you, young man?
I'm doing great, Chris. Let's get right to it.
Let's get into it. Willie Gibson, our colleague from Ohio, should be joining us in a few minutes. But right now, Andy and I'm going to say it first, and you can add your 3 cents. Andy and I have been approved, both of us, to attend and cover the 2023 Big 12 Football Media Day. Yes, that is correct. I, the Houston Roundball Review, I told y'all, folks, the Roundball Review is a media group, not just basketball. Got it approved to cover and attend the Big 12 Football Media Day in July, as well as Mr. Yanez. So just your thoughts on that, sir?
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Never the phrase, I'm kind of stealing the old end of the old phrase, but the Big 12 Football Media Day for football, that's where the big boys play. That's where Houston will be involved in their first Big 12 Media Day with the likes of Texas, Oklahoma for at least for this season, period. And then, of course, the rest of the Big 12, when you think of the likes of Baylor, Texas Christian, and so on and so on, something tells me we're not in the Power 6 anymore.
Agreed. I'm going to show this. Thank you, Tony M. Appreciate you supporting all of our shows available on our platforms on YouTube, Andy's Paul Slamma Jamma, Let's Rage Cougs, and my shows, Let's Talk Houston Rockets, The Lunch Break, and everything else. Tony M is a true supporter. Really appreciate it. But yep, it is a big deal. Looking forward to it in July. But Andy and I also, we're not the only ones, we received an email notification invite that Commissioner Brett Yormark will have a media availability on June 2nd, the Big 12 spring business meetings. I wonder what he may be talking about. Andy, any ideas?
No clue. They left it really vague, so it'll be interesting to hear what comes off those meetings. And it is fluid. They made sure to include right. It is fluid.
It is fluid, yes. So the timing of it may change. Who knows if we'll be actually able to, if it happens. But in a few places, some sources I trust way more than other places and sources that I really don't trust, it sounds like that Colorado and or Arizona may be joining the Big 12. Not sure how soon that's going to be. Some folks say soon. Some folks say it's not going to happen. Soon might be within the next, let's say this month. This month, within the next 6 weeks, roughly. Waiting for Will to get his thoughts on the other part of it. But Colorado coming back to the Big 12, partly because the media rights deals, negotiations for the Pac-12 and the ESPN, Amazon, the streaming platforms, Fox, etc., are not going great for the Big 12 in terms of the numbers they expected. And Colorado and Arizona may say, hey, well, we like the stability of the Big 12. So we might do that. We'll see if it happens. That's what some folks are saying. Now, I'm putting all kinds of things together. So who knows if it happens by June 2nd. And that is something we can ask Commissioner Yomark on June 2nd if that happens. But it's just out there. More and more media people, sports media folks like Andrew Marchand and John Oran. Marchand with New York Post, John Oran with the Sports Business Journal. Listen to their podcast. Andy, I don't know if you caught yesterday's podcast, but great info from them each week. They, again, said that the Pac-12, the numbers they're looking for, they're not going to get. They're not going to get. Amazon is out for now. All of this is fluid, as Andy, is learning, covering sports and media. Anything can happen. But right now, the Pac-12 does not have a deal. The numbers they're looking for, they're not going to get. They're not getting. So we'll see if that happens. Colorado joining, who knows if it happens soon. That means Deion Sanders, Colorado in the Big 12. What are your thoughts on Coach Prime in the Big 12, Andy?
I love it. It certainly is going to increase the exposure of the conference as a whole, as long as Coach Prime is at Colorado. It'll be interesting from a Houston standpoint if it were to happen, since they already have a non-conference scheduled matchup, I believe, home and home in the near future, how it'll impact scheduling. Like I said, everything's constantly fluid. It's constantly changing in the ever world of conference realignment, and it's best for the Big 12, in my opinion, to be able to get more stability, to be able to get more programs into the conference in the world where you're trying to separate yourself from the Big 10 and SEC any way that you possibly can.
And I'm going to put this out there as an addendum. I don't know. Make of it what you will, audience tuning in, watching us on YouTube, Roku, Twitter, etc. I talked to K-State's Jerome Tang yesterday, K-State men's basketball head coach. Jerome Tang yesterday, video available on YouTube at Houston Roundball Review. And during our chat, Coach Tang, he was talking about the incoming 4 schools, Houston, UCF, Cincinnati, BYU. At the end of that, he said he's looking forward to more expansion. I wasn't going to ask him. I did not ask him which schools, because as a head coach, he doesn't have a whole lot of say in the conference decisions. But he said he likes what the commissioner's doing and talking about more expansion. So that's coming from Jerome Tang. Said he's looking forward to expanding more. What do you think about that, Andy?
Again, it's the best for the conference because you're trying to differentiate yourself between the other 2 conferences, and you're certainly separating yourself from the Pac-12, which if they do lose Colorado, they do lose Arizona, they do lose any other schools, they very much have crumbled before our eyes over the span of the past year, just over a year, under a year, when USC and UCLA announced that they're going to be leaving for the Big 10. But again, from whether it be a men's basketball perspective, when it comes to conference overall, as a football perspective, it's what's best for business, in my opinion, and I love it, and trying to build up exposure as much as possible.
And reminder to everybody watching us on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Roku on the BS3 network. Willie Gibson's going to join us hopefully in a few minutes. But before we go to our first break, I'm going to say this to you, Andy, first, because I wonder how Will's going to respond to it. But in the scenario that Arizona, Colorado leave the Pac-12 and go to the Big 12, some reports, I think Brett McMurphy from, where's Brett? The Action Network, I believe. He said yesterday, interview on 365 Sports. See, we had no problem giving shows credit when they have info, accurate info, and discussion. He mentioned that the Big Ten has not added Oregon and Washington right now because, quote unquote, they don't want blood on their hands for the demise of the Pac 12. However, if Colorado and Arizona decide to leave and join the Big 12, then the Pac 12 is wounded. They're losing members. Then the Big Ten may say, well, it's the door is cracked. Okay, Oregon. Okay, Washington. Let's come on in. Y'all can come on in now. What are your thoughts on that possibility, that scenario?
Yeah, they don't want to kill the Pac-12. Let's just ignore the fact that they took one of their two biggest named schools in USC and UCLA less than a year ago. And that, to compare it, to go back to a wrestling reference, it'd be like the infamous NWO leg drop when Hulk Hogan found out that he was going to be joining the NWO. It would be as if all of a sudden Hulk Hogan said, no, I didn't want to deliver the leg drop. I'm going to wait for Scott Hall and Kevin Nash to beat him up a little bit. Now when I know my opponent is completely wounded, let me go ahead and drop my signature finisher and count him out. Let's just ignore the fact that you guys initially started everything with the poaching of USC and UCLA, because let's face it, if those two schools don't leave and head for the Big Ten in 2024, certainly the Pac-12 is not struggling to have this financial stability when it comes to their TV rights deals. Who knows? It's a race between the Big 12 and the Pac-12 who can really secure that deal from ESPN. I think ESPN certainly wouldn't have been out of the race, or at least as hesitant as it seems like it has been. Who knows? Maybe the Big 12 isn't even able to jump ahead of the Pac-12 in that scenario, because I think we can both agree on this. USC and UCLA, when you look at all the schools across the Big 12 and the Pac-12, are the biggest brands, and I think Oregon is right there behind those two. Take away those two programs from the Pac-12, and you might not have killed the conference, but you certainly delivered a very, very big blow that is just waiting to finish off the conference.
We shall see how it all plays out. I'm going to take this quick break, reminding everybody you are watching. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everybody who's watching us on the YouTube channel, streaming on AJ's channel on YouTube, as well as a Houston Roundball Review on YouTube. This first break, going to do it, switch up the rotation a little bit. This one is about our man, our host, our leader, the lunch break. AJ Jones. Thank you, AJ. Right back.
Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready, we ready, we ready for y'all. We ready, we ready.
The Lunch Break with AJ, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at noon Central.
And we're back. Welcome to the Houston Roundball Review takeover of Throwback Thursday on the lunch break, powered by JM&E, and also available on Roku at the BS3 network. If you have a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV. If not, just go to bs3network.com. I am KG Chris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. Joining me right now is Andy Yanez from Gallery Sports, and also Paul Samajama and Les Rage Cougs. Let's say hi to the BS3 Network. Thank you to them, BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV. Erica, how are you? You need to talk to Erica. Want to interview her. She hooped to play college basketball. I think she's still coaching a little bit as well. But Andy, get your thoughts on this. The Houston Cougars men's basketball team has one scholarship available. Have you heard anything about the Cougs using that scholarship right now for anybody in the transfer portal?
I have not. And initially, when Malik Wilson transferred, correct, that's when the scholarship became available.
Right.
And shortly after Wilson transferred, it sounded like UH wasn't necessarily going to pursue a person in transfer portal. As of then, I haven't heard anything different since then. But I mean, it goes to show, since Wilson transferred, there hasn't been any noise around someone. You haven't even seen transfers say that they've been offered by Houston. But I certainly think we both touched on, and I can't remember if it was on Folks Talking Sports or here on the lunch break, but if the right player came along, they certainly have the spot open for that player, but perhaps that player just hasn't come along when it comes to the Houston Cougars men's basketball team.
There's not an impact player. That's a difference maker that they would use the scholarship right now. You know, there's been scuttlebutt on some of the message boards about players visiting and all. You know, the name I tossed out there as an example was Hunter Dickinson. Unless someone like that caliber decided to transfer to Houston, they are not going to use the scholarship right now. So nothing's changed as far as I know. There may be a young man, what's his name, Dedan Thomas, high school senior. Well, I mean, let's see. He might reclassify to come out this year. Supposed to announce his intent for his college this Sunday, May 14th. Initially, he was a teammate of high school teammate of Cedric Lott. So it might be a possibility that he wants to join Big Ced in Houston. But even if he reclassifies and joins the team for this coming season, Andy, but all the guard the Cougs have, especially in the backcourt, point guard, he's not going to play. You know, he might redshirt. So it's not etched in stone that even if they use that scholarship, that 13th scholarship, that person would not redshirt this year. So I haven't heard anything different. I've been wrong before. I could be wrong right now, but I have not heard anything different that regarding them using that 13th scholarship unless it's on an impact player, a difference maker. So Willie Gibson is available. We're going to bring him in. Love to get his thoughts on it because I'm not sure he heard us, but bringing Will in and then post up Tony's comment. Mr. Gibson, how are you, sir?
Good, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing well. This is Tony M. has this looking at our coach, talking about Dana Holgerson, and then seeing Coach Prime across the field.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's in reference to a possibility that Colorado and or Arizona leave the Pac-12 to join the Big 12. Have you heard anything like that?
I did hear you guys talking about it, and like you, I've heard rumbles here and there, but how credible are those rumbles is my question. It remains to be seen. I mean, it's a lot of conjecture about a lot of things right now. So until I hear it confirmed or from, I'm not saying I don't trust you, I'm not saying what I'm about to say, someone I trust, I would tend to hold my excitement.
Oh, no question. There's so much going on. That's why I don't get into it too often.
Yeah.
It seems to change almost every day.
Yep.
But in a scenario, because you for a while were very firm that the Big Ten would not expand with Oregon and Washington.
Yep. Have
you changed that?
Nope.
Not at all. Even if the scenario happens where Colorado or hell anybody from the Pac-12 leaves to go to another conference.
I haven't changed. I won't change, especially based on that. Nope.
So why are you so firm and continue to be so firm in that statement?
People I've talked.
Say it again. You broke up there. Say it again.
People I've talked to.
Okay.
People I've talked to. Yep. I'll stop there. Yeah. People I've talked to.
So, Will knows people. I know people. Andy knows people. Other folks know people. So, I mean, we'll see how it all plays out. That's why, I'm not being critical of other folks who really make majority of their shows based on conference realignment and school A going to conference B. Now, until it happens, I'm not, just wait. Because from my perspective, I'm not speaking for Andy or Will. From my perspective, this talk is all centered around football. I'm a basketball guy. No I'm a basketball guy. So I would not want to see the Pac-12 go away. And, delving even further, I'm also a fan of women's basketball. So what would that do to Stanford women's basketball, Arizona women's basketball? Folks don't even care about, the non-football sports. So I have my, sentiment about that as well. Will, any thoughts on the Pac-12 media rights deal? Nothing's changed. It doesn't sound like ESPN is going to give them what they want monetarily. So if that happens, what would the Pac-12 do, Will and Andy?
Panic. Try to save face. Try to something from somewhere. But it looks, as you said, looks like they're not getting what they're looking for. And I don't know if they will.
Andy, what would you do if you were the Pac-12 commissioner and you're not getting the money that you want from anybody? What would you do?
You gotta find a way to sell the vision to Oregon, Washington, Arizona, and either Arizona State or Utah. Like, have the core group of schools. Find something, and I don't know if I'm in the shoes of the commissioner. I honestly have no idea what that pitch is, but that has to be your priority. Be able to get them to, at the very least, even if it's a super short-term deal, commit to a vision to remain in the Pac-12, and then maybe 2 years from now they can circle back if they've shown maybe the pitch is, hey, right now it's so unknown, it's so disruptive, it's such a really a landscape that we're not too sure of what it's going to look like, especially once USC and UCLA leave. But maybe let's ride through past 2025. Perhaps Oregon or the Pac-12 can sell those schools like, hey, we still have Oregon, we still have these brand names. Maybe the LA market doesn't get affected as much as we thought it would using UCLA and USC. Wait a few years, and then maybe come 2026, 25, we'll be in a better position. And maybe they can even look at adding, whether it be a San Diego State, whether it be just some schools to be able to beef up the conference when it comes to membership-wise. And so we'll circle back in a few years, and maybe we'll be in a better position. I don't know if it'll work, but I think that's the last really, that's what you need to do. You need to get commitment from the premier programs left that are holding the Pac-12 together.
And I'm going to post this question from Eric because I've wanted this and asked this myself. Is it possible for a football team to be in a different conference than the other sports from the same institution? It happens in other smaller sports.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know if there's anything legally saying that it can't happen, but I've really wondered why we don't have football-only conferences, because football makes college sports is a huge moneymaker.
Yeah, to your point, Chris, Notre Dame men's hockey is in the Big Ten, and all other sports they play, and minus football, who plays a limited ACC schedule, their ACC conference, and everything else. So yeah, that's an interesting point Erica K brought up. Like you said, I don't know of anything that is set in stone that says it can't happen. But with football being the straw that stirs the drink in many instances and with schools, I don't know that universities would be willing to break up that financial resource like that. So, whereas they would be breaking up the money.
Andy, what do you say? What do you think about that?
Yeah, with the football is really what makes everything across the college landscape go around. But it's hard to envision, but it's certainly there's a blueprint for it with, like you said, Chris, very, very smaller sports. I mean, just sticking it or staying with the American Athletic Conference. The American Athletic Conference has women lacrosse, and they have Florida and Vanderbilt a part of that league in the American Athletic Conference. So obviously a very, very different sport. I just don't see it happening. Like if it would have happened, I think USC and UCLA would have made more sense of, hey, maybe it's just football, or maybe just football and men's basketball, but that wasn't the case. So there's not really a blueprint in that regard to follow.
And we're going to take another break. This spot will be by the BS3 Network, who we are streaming live on via Roku. Be back in about 90 seconds. Then we're going to talk about Commissioner Michael Resco's letter, as well as the NBA playoffs. We'll be right back. You're watching the Houston Roundball Review Takeover on the lunch break, powered by JM&E.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to the Houston Roundball Review Takeover of the lunch break, powered by JM&E, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and of course Roku at the BS3 Network. I'm Chris Gardner. Joining me is Andy Yanez from Gallery Sports and Willie Gibson from WTG Sports. Before we get into Mike Resco's comments in the NBA, Erica brought this up, and she played college ball. Okay, never would have thought women's basketball players will be making over $1 million in college from endorsements. NIL.
Yep.
The queens of NIL. LSU women's basketball. LSU athletics, really, because the top earner in women's college is an LSU gymnast. Correct?
Yep. Olivia Dunn.
Olivia Dunn makes $3 million NIL deals.
Yep.
Number two is Angel Reese, also LSU, about $1.4 million. Her birthday present to herself was it a Benz?
Yes.
It was a Benz. Yeah. And I didn't know this. I sent the article to you guys a few minutes ago before the show. She's going to be in SI's swimsuit edition.
Yep.
So, yep, the Bayou Barbie got a Benz from the Mercedes Baton Rouge dealer, part of her LIU NIL deals. So that money is just an indicator that the top tier, because now Haley Van Lith also transferred to LSU, Anissa Morrow transferred to LSU. they're all getting at least six figures. I think Haley Van Lith is $450,000 to $500,000 in NIL. Compare that to many of the WNBA players, Erica. They're not getting $500,000 in the WNBA. So why would a top tier college player go to the WNBA early if they could? Because they don't need to, because they're going to earn more from NIL than WNBA. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Why would they, forego the hundreds of thousands and in these cases millions of dollars to play? I think what you sent me the other day, what, 63,000 was year one salary for a WNBA rookie that was drafted.
Rookies, yeah. The top tier, what do they call it? Like the super max players, whatever they call it, the elite of the elite could earn via endorsements up to $500,000.
Yeah.
But the salary is like, base salary is like $225, $250, something like that.
Well, yeah, but I'm looking at a rookie. Talk about a
rookie,
player even early. Yeah, a rookie would look at like $63,000, $65,000, whereas you just said $1.4 million for Angel Reese. Why would she? $750,000 for Caitlin Clark of Iowa. Why would they leave early?
Yep. Andy, what do you say?
No, 100%. 100%. It seems paradoxical that you can make more money in the college landscape than as a professional when it comes to this aspect of it. But again, something that we touched on last week in regards to this whole name, image, and likeness situation, it just goes to show how much money is involved around college athletics. Chris, money that has always been there, but I digress.
Yep. And college sports hasn't gone away. It hasn't collapsed. The demise of college sports, NAL is going to destroy everything. It was gloom and doom. Hasn't happened yet. Flau'jae Johnson, another LSU player, $800,000. So, and Erica with good for the players. Well, this is it. Yeah, this is true because the WNBA has limited roster space. First round draft picks getting cut.
But Alexis Morris from LSU.
So yeah. She was making she probably made more NIL than she would have made in her first year in the WNBA, and she got cut. Yep. So I think got cut yesterday. But here's a comment I wanted to say from Erica. I want to be reincarnated now as myself so I can play college ball again because Absolutely. She could hoop. She could get buckets in college. Sorry, you just wrong time. So but that's a point for the WNBA to eventually deal with. But LSU, I mean, have they bought a super team? Is it accurate to say that? I don't know, buying it NIL wise, but they put together a super team. Is that good or bad for women's college basketball?
I wouldn't say it's bad because for years it was said that UConn and Tennessee were putting together super teams and that no one would watch women's basketball because it was always UConn and Tennessee. And now you have Iowa, South Carolina, LSU. UConn is still on the fringes. Ohio State is coming. But no, I would never say it's bad because college athletes are capitalizing, as Andy said, on monies that have always been there. And now they're able to partake of it. So I don't think it's bad at all.
Andy, what do you say?
No, I agree 100%. It's always been the women's basketball landscape in college has always been kind of similar, where it's always select programs that have been the quote unquote powerhouses. And I mean, even now it's kind of shifted a little bit. Just look at it from the LSU perspective in the article you sent this morning, Chris, where they've kind of found a formula, might not be the right word, but they found the perfect way to capitalize on that name, image, and likeness to be able to compete and build a solid team that just came off a national championship, and I mean, arguably might have just made it better in all season.
And UConn, if they're healthy, could return to that top tier in women's hoops this coming season. So then you'd have UConn, LSU, South Carolina, Iowa, as long as Caitlin Clark is there. If somehow those 4 teams made the Final Four, oh my goodness. Oh man. ESPN would just, it'd be ecstatic. They'd lose their minds. But
and where is it this year?
it's in Ohio, right, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's gonna be too cold for me. Me and Andy gonna be in Phoenix. I know.
Not that cold, man.
Well, it might snow it's gonna be Cleveland, right? Cleveland?
Yeah, it's in Cleveland.
In Cleveland, 24. It might be snowing in Cleveland in April in 24. Will
it might not.
But it snowed the last time I was there for the Final Four in Cleveland. It snowed the last day. But
the Final Four, Cleveland.
But we shall see. Willie Gibson's favorite commissioner, Mike Oresco, penned a letter posted on theamerican.org chastising the media for perpetuating the P5 label.
Well, where was it posted?
Right? The American website, right? Yeah.
Right. So he fired up his constituents. Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Will. I want you to go ahead. Erica, no worries about you being chatty. Glad to have you commenting on the show. No problem whatsoever.
Yeah. Go ahead. He fired up his constituents. Go ahead. All right.
But, get rid of the P5 label, P5, G5, on and on. Andy, your thoughts first, and then Mr. Gibson. I know he has a lot to say on it. Let him go second. Andy, what are your thoughts on what he wrote, what he said?
Well, Mike Oresco's consistent. It's something that he brought up during the men's basketball tournament when he spoke to reporters on the Saturday, I believe, during the semifinals. During that weekend in Fort Worth at Dickies Arena, he basically repeated what he said at that press conference, and that's that he wants to eliminate the quote-unquote Power 5 G5 labels because in his argument, it makes no sense. It certainly doesn't make any sense at this point, and he consistently said that he feels that the difference between the third best Power 5, quote-unquote Power 5 conference is much less. The gap is much different, much smaller between that conference and the American as compared to that third best Power 3 conference and either the Big Ten or the SEC. So I think it's funny that in his letter he says, well, if we were to continue it, it would make more sense for it to be Power 2 and then kind of the tier structure, which some people have kind of alluded to, especially once USC and UCLA join the Big Ten next year. But I digress. It's been consistent with him, and I think the arguments he makes is fair from an American Athletic Conference standpoint. At the end of the day, he's trying to do what's best for his conference. But at this point, he's gotten his point across. He's making headlines. It's not going to work. Like people, if anything, they're going to start calling the Big Ten and the SEC the Power 2, the Big 12, the Pac-12, for however long the Pac-12 is around, and the ACC as the middle of the Pac conference, and then the G5 will still be the G5. And unfortunately for the American, it will still be in that lower tier level. Now, he does make his main argument is that look at UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston. They'll be leaving the American, joining the Big 12 in 52, 51, 50 days, around there, less than 2 months now. And he said just because they signed a paper, now they're magically going to be considered a Power 5 school, which, hey, it's a fair argument. But I think what he failed to mention was the differences in resources between conferences. And he went on the whole tangent about being autonomous and what that actually means.
Well, you got it. What say you?
Man, a lot. I got a lot, but it's a lot to unpack. But I'll start with this. This is the same man, Michael Resco, and Andy, you just referenced it last segment. He said the Power 5 is media created. It is. But did he also not create Power 6?
Yes,
where did the Power 6 conference come from?
P6.
He did.
P6.
They have it on football. They have it on their first down markers.
Right.
P6.
Right. So he himself wanted to be a part of the Power 6, but for whatever reason, he wasn't accepted. So now, we should just get rid of it. But 2 months ago, you wanted to be a part of it.
Well, real
Explain.
quickly to follow up, just in
Yeah.
terms of Oresco's point of view, he did mention that he said the only reason the American went with the Power Six branding moniker was because they felt like they were closer to the quote unquote Power Five than the Power Six, and they were trying to make it a point of emphasis. That's Oresco's reasoning for it. But go ahead, the floor is yours.
Make it make sense. That's all. Just make it make sense. And then, furthermore, he goes on to say that the Power Five term was media created. But then you go on to go, and it is. Yes. So why are you giving it that much credence now? It's, oh, well, they don't look at us the same. It's the group of five. It's the Power Five. He contradicted himself so much to me. The main point of that is he wanted to be a part of it. He wasn't accepted. And now it's a problem. But it wasn't a problem when you tried to create the Power Six.
But to add on to Chris,
I get what he said, and I understand what he said, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
in the letter, he also mentioned the fact that the American tried to apply for autonomous status a while ago, correct?
Right.
And they were not accepted, granted autonomous status.
Yep.
You know, in some of the JB, thank you very much. But that some of his stuff, obviously, he's trying to defend his conference as a job of a commissioner. That's the first thing. But he also has contradicted himself because there were times within the last couple of years he took shots at Conference USA, the Sun Belt, the MAC, the G5 conferences. Well, we're better than them, in so many. And he tried to, rationalize. What is one of his points? Mountain West. He really took shots at the Mountain West for the AAC's in recent years, moving past the Mountain West. Boise State's been down for a while. Boise State was the non-power best football team, non-power conference for a while. But Commissioner Oresco, he took a lot of shots at we're superior, and he came across as we're superior to the Mountain West, to the Sun Belt, to Conference USA, to Southland, all those things.
And they are poaching a lot of Conference USA schools this season too. But
right, so they're poaching CUSA schools. Big 12 is poaching, AAC schools, American schools. And one of his points is accurate that UH, BYU, Cincinnati, UCF, June 30th will be P6, G5, whatever. But July 1st, just by signing the paper and everything becomes official, they become a member of a power conference. That part is accurate, but again, he can't just say one thing about, we're not autonomous anymore, we're never autonomous, and then we are so superior to Mountain West, Conference USA, Southland, Sun Belt, MAC, all these other commissioners. You can't have it both ways, man. I mean, money-wise, in terms of budgets, they do kind of, they do spend more than a lot of those. But the sad thing is, come football, especially bowl games, last couple of years, the Fun Belt has beaten the teams in the American head-to-head, or even, non-conference matchups. He doesn't say that. He doesn't mention anything about those results. So it's his job to do that. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to change the perception. It's not going to change the reality of everything. The money deal that he got for the conference, media rights deal, 12 years, $1 billion a while ago. Look great.
Phenomenal deal for the Americans.
It's outstanding.
He mentioned it. The championship game has been on ABC every single year of its existence.
It's a great deal for the American. Rice is thrilled now to be, not now, but looking forward to joining the American. But that $8 million payout that the schools on average got this year, last year, but the numbers came out this year, pales to the $31 million that they'll get in the Big 12 eventually in 3 years, which pales to what the Big 10 and SEC get, which could be 50, 60, 70, and some years down the line, 80, 90, $100 million per school per year. It's the way football makes everything, and football makes the college landscape go round. And we are going to take this final break. And then last segment, we're going to talk NBA playoffs and get Will's thoughts on the Lakers and AD. Right back in about 70 seconds. This spot from Cole Sports. Cole Johnson.
If you're looking for a sports program that gives you the flavor.
Washington Commanders? Really?
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
That pulls no punches.
Thuggish act by a thuggish actor.
That gives you some humor.
Praise everything LeBron does and never criticize it.
If you want a show that gives you good times, then this is that show. BS3 Network proudly presents.
I am Cole Johnson, and welcome to
Cole Sports with a Z. Every Friday on Patreon and every Saturday on YouTube, Spreaker, and all other outlets.
In this final segment of the Houston Roundball Review takeover of the lunch break on this Throwback Thursday, lunch break powered by JM&E and also the BS3 Network, available on Roku. We're streaming live on Roku, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. I'm KG Chris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review, with Andy Yanez from Gallery Sports and Willie Gibson from WTG Sports. Real quick, I see this comment. Donna Holman. Donna, were you a hooper? I knew Erica could hoop. I didn't know you could hoop, but yeah, y'all just born too soon, missing that NIL money. All right, playoffs. We're going to talk playoffs. The Knicks live to fight another day, thanks to Tibbs wearing out Quentin Grimes and Jalen Brunson playing them all the whole 48. Salute to Quentin Grimes. Will allow me and Andy a moment. A UH Cougar
Go ahead, Chris.
moment. I just love the reaction that Quentin Grimes' hustle play has gotten from Twitter, social media. He was injured, banged up, and then didn't quit on the play, and stole the ball from Jimmy Buckets. Seeing people tweet out, folks, national media, that's Houston Cougars' Kelvin Sampson play right there. That does this old alum proud. Andy, your thoughts on that?
One word: culture. Culture, Chris. It looked like he was going to be down on the floor. It looked like he was going to be a non-factor in the play. Not only does he get up, he picks up the best defender on the opposite, on the Miami Heat. And that's Jimmy Butler. Makes a key stop, because at that point, they were only up 6.
I think
correct?
So.
I think it was 107, 101. And Iron Eagle, what a call by Iron Eagle. Cookies by Quentin Grimes, and he helped seal the deal for the Knicks, and they get to live another day. Now 48 minutes for him and Brunson, that's gonna be tough for them to be able to turn around 48 hours, and they just need one. They just need one in Miami to get it back to New York. But I digress. You have that moment, that Cougar moment, that clip right there from Quentin Grimes needs to get cut from the Houston. It needs to be showcased to every single recruit in the program.
Agreed. Will, what are your thoughts on that play, and then we get into the Lakers and the Warriors?
It was definitely a big play. I mean, helped them, stave off elimination for a day. And we'll see what happens in Game 6 in South Beach.
Will that go 7, or is it over in 6?
I think Hemi Butler is ready to end it. So I think it ends tomorrow.
Andy?
God, I have to agree with Will. I think it's over in 6. I really was rooting for the Knicks in that series to win. I think it would be awesome if they can force it to Game 7. But even in that game, when the Knicks had a comfortable lead, the Heat made a run, and it was kind of sweating there for the last few minutes of that game. So the Knicks were able to close it out. I just think Miami has their number, and I think it'll end on Friday. But hopefully I'm wrong.
I'm going to sound like Patrick Ewing when I say this, because you say it every year. He probably still says it about the Knicks losing to the Bulls. I still think we were a better team. Well, Pat, you didn't beat the Bulls in the playoffs. The Knicks may have better players than the Heat, but Miami we're going to win the series. I think it ends in 6. Lakers, Dubs. Well, AD does not have a concussion, so he seems to be good to go for Game 6. Will that be enough to end the series and Lakers win in 6?
I think the Lakers will end in 6. Since you guys had a moment, allow me a moment for Ohio State legend D'Angelo Russell. I joke, I kid, but no. Yeah, I think it ends tomorrow. AD, that's a huge hurdle. I don't think people really realize how paramount it is for him to be there. Because had he had the concussion, he would have had to enter concussion. Absolutely, Tony.
Yep.
Absolutely. I think he would have had to enter concussion protocol, which definitely would have put him out Friday night, and possibly could have put him out for potential Game 7.
Yep.
So for him there, yeah, that it's what Shaq says. It's the others. It's D'Angelo Russell. It's Austin Reeves. It's Jared Vanderbilt. He played 10 minutes last night. The others have to show up in Crypto.com arena. LeBron's gonna do what he does. LeBron averages 30 in closeout games. So,
Andy, is it over in 6?
I said that the Lakers would win in 6, but let me tell you, I'm very, very shaky on that prediction. And a big reason is because of Anthony Davis. It doesn't sound like he has a concussion. It sounds like he's gonna give it a go for Game 6. But how is he gonna be affected by that? Will he be close to 100%? Will he be able to be an impactful player? I think absolutely. If Anthony Davis is on the court, he's dominant like he has in a lot of the Lakers' victories, they have a great chance at closing it out. But if he's not 100% and he puts up a Game 2 type of performance, or going back to the Memphis series when it came to the even number games, Klay Thompson, I know he's had a really rough series, but they just need one game. They need one game on the road. I remember what Klay Thompson did to the Rockets in 2018 in the Western Conference Finals. I know that was a home game for the Warriors, but he exploded. And then fast forward the following year in 2019, he did the same thing. He did it to Oklahoma City. Steph Curry could catch on fire, whatever we saw last year in the NBA Finals. And I don't expect Draymond Green to score 20 points again, but he did it for them last night. That was a huge reason too. And I agree with Will. The Lakers, they need Anthony Davis. They need him to show up and put up a solid performance, but they need someone else to step up. In Game 4, it was Lonnie Walker, who had a phenomenal fourth quarter, a historic fourth quarter. They're going to need someone, whether it be Austin Reeves, whether it be Walker again, whether it be D'Angelo Russell, who's, honestly, he's been MIA for a lot of these games in the postseason when it comes to a scoring standpoint, and he's really just struggling to be able to stay on the court. It's going to take someone, because they cannot let Klay Thompson and Steph Curry go off, because if they gets back to San Francisco for 7, no chance. They have LeBron, so they have a small chance, but I don't think they're beating Golden State in 7.
A lot to digest there. AD's health is obviously a key factor, but the Lakers' defense has to be better. Their transition defense is garbage. And that includes LeBron. LeBron's not getting back on defense. LeBron sometimes, too many times, he said it that he hasn't lost a step, but his finishing at the rim, he doesn't have the lift like he used to consistently. Because younger LeBron, a lot of these drives will be hammers, will be dunks. Now he's layups rolling off the rim. He gets fouled, ball, he misses the shot on the continuation. Father Time's undefeated. He's got to be better. And stop looking at the refs for a call. Yeah, you're LeBron. Sometimes the refs don't care. Get back on defense, especially when the rest of your team is not getting back on defense. Somebody got to get back on defense for the Lakers, because there's too many Warriors. The Warriors were better from 3, but they also matched the Lakers in the paint. That should not happen. The Warriors are a perimeter team. The Lakers are an inside team. The Lakers need to have that advantage, maintain it, utilize it, get AD on the block, LeBron on the block, get to the free throw line. It should not be, the free throw line should not be even for the Lakers to win in 6 or 7. I said 6. We all said 6. I'm not going to change it. Lakers win in 6. And then we see what happens with, I think Phoenix is done. They're banged up. And Denver, they're doing what they have to win. I'm not convinced they're a championship team. I can say that even if they win the chip, because if they win the chip, they're obviously the champions. But Lakers Nuggets, I picked the Lakers.
Yep.
Warriors Nuggets, I probably picked the Warriors. But we'll see. It's great fun. Thank you guys once again for joining us here on the Houston Roundball Review takeover of the lunch break powered by JM&E. Willie Gibson, how can folks find you on social media, sir?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the opportunity as always. You can find me on Twitter as well as Instagram at Will Gibson7. Facebook, Will Knows.
Andy, how about you?
Yes, sir. They can follow me on Twitter at Aonis_5. Real side note, the Texans officially released their rookie number. So will CJ Stroud's going to keep that number 7 with the Texans going to be rocking 7 for Houston this upcoming season. And from a Houston Cougars perspective, Tank Dell's going from number 1 to number 13. Of course, the NFL schedule releases later today. So will we get to see who CJ Stroud's first victim is and the rest of that schedule for the Texans this season?
Thank you very much, Tony, Donna, Erica, everybody watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Roku, of course, on the BS3 network. I'm Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Houston Roundball Review since 1994. Local name, global perspective. Andy, Will, thank you very much. See you guys Sunday evening for Folks Talking Sports. Everybody else take care. We're going to close it out with this from Sybil Wilkes.
My name is James Jr., and I won $500 on the lunch break for keeping up with the Jonas Bracket Challenge.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is Friday, May 12th, 2023. We made it. Number 1, as the clock ticked down to the end of Title 42, thousands of migrants continued to line up in order to cross the southern borders to gain entry into the United States. At the same time, Thursday, the GOP-led House passed its first major border security bill since gaining control of the chamber, timed to coincide with the end of the pandemic-era policy tightening border control. However unlikely the bill is to pass in the Democratic Senate, the GOP's Secure the Border Act would restore construction on a southwest border wall and hinder asylum access. The U.S. government announced new restrictions to put into place at southern borders to try to stop migrants from crossing illegally and encourage them instead to apply for asylum online through a new process. Number 2, Republican donor Harlan Crow this week wrote in a letter to the Senate Finance Committee that he would not provide a list of gifts that he gave to Justice Clarence Thomas, who has faced recent calls to step down from the High Court. Senate Democrats called for Thomas's impeachment and removal, given his lavish and extensive gifts from Crow, and seek ethics reforms to the High Court overall, all of which won't see the light of day from a Republican-controlled House. Crow's attorney wrote, the committee lacks the authority to conduct a tax audit for the purpose of determining whether Justice Thomas complied with ethics standards the chairman believes should apply in this instance. Number 3, breast cancer affects Black adults in more ways than many other populations, so cancer screenings and prevention are crucial to changing those statistics. Most breast cancers are easily treated when caught early, so it is best to perform the breast self-exams regularly and discuss your risk factors with a knowledgeable health provider. Black Americans are much more likely to be affected by aggressive forms of cancer, and death rates are higher, so understanding cancer and knowing your body is key to detecting the changes that indicate any disease. Number 4, Nebraska State Senator Michaela Cavanaugh promises to hold up legislation unless a bill to block gender-affirming health care for youth is dropped. Since February, for the last 10 weeks, Cavanaugh has spent several hundred hours speaking on the House floor at length, delaying every single anti-LGBTQ bill to pass. Currently, LB 574 is a priority of Cavanaugh's, which would ban gender-affirming care for minors in Nebraska, and this is considered one of the most contentious bills of the legislative session. Number 5. After realizing the lack of brands that cater to women who wear shoe sizes 9 through 14, 23-year-old Ariana Edwards came up with Viola Shoes. Since its inception just 1 year ago, Viola Shoes has raised $80,000 in funding without giving away equity in her company. Check out the Viola Shoes website for her shoe offerings. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Life is a series of choices. Choose to prioritize your mental health today. Ooh, make it number 1. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, the American Heart Association and Black Health Matters. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.